Jim Holl is both an artist and an associate professor of art at Marymount Manhattan College in New York City. His work has been featured at MoMA PS1 in Long Island City, the New Museum of Contemporary Art in New York City, the Seattle Museum, and the Denise Bibro Gallery in New York City, among other galleries. We are pleased to have a discussion with Jim about a selection of his paintings. So Jim, why are you a painter? What are you trying to do? What are you exploring?
Thanks, Annette, for having me.
My pleasure.
I'm a painter. I grew up in a small town in western Washington, and I had a bit of a talent as a school kid, but I didn't see my first painting I saw was a print by Gilbert George of George Washington, a print on the wall in the schoolroom. I didn't see my first painting until I went to college. And in 1975, I got on a Greyhound bus and got off in New York City to follow that vision. And it was a very interesting time because
Yes,
right around 1975 was the top of the moment for conceptual art and minimal art. And what that really was the end of modernism as I had learned it. And I didn't realize for many years later that I was a cut-in-the-wool modernist and did not have an affinity to a postmodernism that came to the fore in New York City in the 80s, which is to say appropriation, collage, these things that to me were negating meaning by over juxtapositions and meshing kinds of styles together. I explored a lot of different areas over the next, until about the year 2000. And I realized the only thing that I hadn't done was do something consistently for a long period of time.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm.
And so that's what brings us to this painting show here. It's an example of some examples of a number of years, it jumps a number of years of a thematic research into what I came to at the time to call indeterminate landscapes. And what I was doing a kind of a reductivist painting where I took the horizon line and imagined it was just the top edge of the painting. And what that did is it changed the scale of the signifiers, which are well, I let the viewers decide what the signifiers are, but because they may. I remember one time a young girl came to the studio and said, "Oh, those are mushrooms," and I thought that was great.
That was great, yeah.
The reductivist gesture was to not draw, and it was to let the image come out of the painting, which is to apply and take away, and the imagery starts to appear on its own, and it surprises one. It surprises me when I do it. I get surprised, and that essentially is an answer why I do art. The thing about painting. Now I'm coming to the rationale why I finally centered on painting over all these other activities, which I still do some of. But painting is a process of self-discovery, and every time you work it, you are surprised in some small way that this thing has appeared. And what makes painting the epitome of painting is its presence and ambience in the presence of the viewer. And
so there's participatory stuff going on where the viewer is adding something. I mean, when I look at the indeterminate landscapes and other people have been in the gallery looking at them, I am told so many things that they imagine standing there looking at them, that they're either way under the sea, they're on a Martian landscape, they're in the desert, and it just allows people to imagine all kinds of things. They're very provocative paintings in that way.
In the last few years, I felt that I was limiting myself in not using the drawn hand. And so I started in what I still consider the indeterminate landscape series, but of the paintings that are behind me, I started to use line and actually to draw a line and to fill into the line, which is very much drawing. And I hadn't been doing that in the previous 10 years. So I came after a point where I decided I spent the first part of my career experimenting with all kinds of different stuff. Then I settled down for about a 10-year period and painted in one way.
Right.
And my curiosity, and this I think what an artist is somebody that's is always curious.
Always curious.
And so they're always exploring something else. And this isn't a way to build a career. But it is a way to live a life as an artist, is to experiment. So I kept the notion of painting, but I brought this idea of drawing with the emergence of paint, form from paint, and because I live in the country and my studio's in nature, and my wife has a garden, I started painting botanicals.
Well, they were called, somebody coined it, the person who wrote the essay for the catalog said that she called it plantscapes.
Plantscapes. They're really not plantscapes. They're because I'm not really looking at anything. They're evocative forms that just come out of my how nature's that settles within one.
Right.
Rather than trying to describe any particular plant. There was a night a few summers ago where my cat got out of the house and ran into the garden, and we couldn't let the cat stay in the garden because there's predators up there. Right. So I had to go out and find the cat with a flashlight, and I was shining this light all over the plants, and they looked like that, and I thought, this is fabulous. So I went in and I got the video camera, and I went out and started videotaping the movement of the directed light through plants, and it looked very mysterious and very much like Joseph Conrad.
Well, Jim, that was really enlightening, and I want to thank you for taking the time to come here today.
Annette, thank you so much.
About this.
Okay.
My pleasure.
It's been fun.